Before we get started, if you're enjoying this content, you can do us a favor by subscribing to our YouTube channel and ringing the bell. That'll let the algorithm know that you like this content and it will help us produce more.
Pick your battles and choose what to optimize on. Because I think the rule today is there is no silver bullet, there is no secret sauce. The rules have all been reset.
Welcome to Honest Ecommerce, a podcast dedicated to cutting through the BS and finding actionable advice for online store owners. I'm your host, Chase Clymer, and I believe running a direct-to-consumer brand does not have to be complicated or a guessing game. On this podcast, we interview founders and experts who are putting in the work and creating real results. I also share my own insights from running our top Shopify consultancy, Electric Eye. We cut the fluff in favor of facts to help you grow your e-commerce business. Let's get on with the show. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Honest Ecommerce. Today, I'm bringing to the show the co-founder and chief experience officer of Stoggles, Rahul. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chase. Thanks for having me.
Alrighty, so quickly, let's explain to the listeners or watchers, if you're out there on YouTube, what's the products are we talking about today, just so they can kind of understand a little bit.
Awesome. Yeah. So Stoggles is basically just stylish protective eyewear. The idea was conceptualized back in 2020, just in the peak of the pandemic, where we kind of found this unaddressed need where there wasn't cool safety eyewear on the market. And especially for healthcare workers at the time, which was fairly in your face, no pun intended. But we saw that, a lot of medical healthcare workers just didn't have a good product. And it was such an essential product to have because we'd heard Dr. Fauci talking about how you could get COVID through the eyes. So essentially, we just dropped into the eyewear industry in some sense, because we did have another brand just prior to that for about 3 years. And I'll dive into that a little bit because it's really important, I think, for the story and our listeners to understand that sort of journey. But essentially, we just launched Stoggles in August of 2020 on a crowdfunding platform called Indiegogo, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. And it was just off to the races. And we just found this unaddressed need and untapped customer who really resonated with our product, and was really a fun journey since then.
Absolutely. So let's go back, though, because I think we should start with the first company, because that definitely laid the groundwork to the knowledge and how you were able to so quickly pivot to this need that you saw. So take me back in time. What was going on? Why'd you decide to start a sunglasses company online?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. I never thought I would ever get into sunglasses or eyewear, but I met Max, the other co-founder, back in design school. And we did sort of design school together, worked on a lot of projects, had our battles and figured out our way of working. And we both graduated, and he came up with this really ingenious idea of, again, it was problem solving, right? That's why we went to design school. And one of the problems we saw with the eyewear industry was that convenience was a big problem. They would break, these products had very rudimentary screws, and design aesthetically felt great. You got a fashionable pair, but functionally how the product was built had many, many issues. And I think he identified a lot of that early on. And we came up with this he came up with this really, fun product that would fold and would be able to slip inside a pouch and then go into your pocket, and look like a completely regular pair of eyewear when you kind of unflapped it and opened it up. So we found a lot of great learnings in targeting eyewear. That's how we got into eyewear, and targeting people who looked at eyewear and understood how unique eyewear was in the industry, where it's half fashion driven, and which is a huge component, and then half it's very functionally driven by the features and the product build and the quality of it. So it was really interesting, time for us to leverage social media marketing, and that was our first sort of introduction to it. We had a partner, and not partner, I guess a consultant who helped us get out the gate, and started putting our ads together, started managing email, and just started to get the bare bones of how e-commerce really worked. And I think that was crucial for us, understanding what are the major components that we can focus on and really do well, because both of us came from building great products and understanding what it means to have a good brand. And that's been our focus from day one, regardless of it being on ROAV, which is the company we started in 2017, or Stoggles, which we started in 2020. So those 3 years, I think, were crucial for us, learning about getting into eyewear, creating good manufacturing like partnerships with like networking with people from China, understanding Taiwanese manufacturers, all that stuff was like crucial. And then when the pandemic hit, we've really, because I think social marketing as a channel was like our only sort of like, attribution channel that we would like get traction from, we realized like selling luxury eyewear during that time was almost impossible. Because the internet was just blowing up with COVID stories and like wear masks, and all these other stories that we heard. So initially it was just like a pivot to bring more, like I would say, more conversion or more traffic to the site on ROAV, saying that, hey, look at this cool like company out of Pasadena that does sunglasses. This is their initiative towards, them going after like the COVID angle and like how to help, like how an eyewear company is like engaging with creating a new product that serves a benefit to like these other people during this time. And as soon as we started doing that, we started playing around with names of the brand, and we soon realized that it was going to be its own thing. So we sort of separated the two of them. And then since then, it's just been Stoggles, just because we found like a much larger addressable like customer need. And the product really resonates on like a functional, beneficial factor. Sunglasses are cool too, and that business still runs. But the sort of respect and like, the amount of like people talking about how great the product's been to their lives, we never got from the sunglasses space. So it's been an interesting journey for sure to be now in eyewear and like actually growing this thing. It's been fun.
Absolutely. So let's go back and talk. You were launching this in 2017, was the original brand ROAV. And you said that your kind of go-to-market strategy when you launched, and this is always something a lot of listeners always want to know, is like, how'd you get those first customers? And you were talking about, so paid acquisition was kind of, you were going after it through like Facebook and Instagram advertising?
Yeah, I think so. I think both products, funny enough, we launched a crowdfunding campaign for both. So back in 2016, I think of December, Max, the other co-founder and founder of ROAV, he launched a crowdfunding campaign. And that's how we sort of initially got off the ground. And it was initially on Kickstarter, which was like really booming at that time. And everybody was like, oh, if you have a great product, you should be on Kickstarter. Kind of like the Shark Tank of the day. But so that was an interesting journey. But I think what it showed us was that if we could articulate and create a product and a brand that was special in both ways, or like found like a nook within the industry, that crowdfunding would be the best way for us to, reach that sort of target audience. However, when it came to Stoggles, the rules around crowdfunding had changed so much, where we were getting a lot of visibility into attribution, conversion, like targeting people, and we leveraged those tools, which obviously now don't exist because of a lot of iOS 15 changes, but we really leveraged a lot of those like rules back in the day to like help Stoggles be successful. And I think ROAV was essential in like us getting those learnings, so that when came time for Stoggles, we could just like fire on all cylinders, make sure everything was like attributed and working well.
Absolutely. I think that you mentioned that Stoggles just kind of quickly became like the main focus for you and your partner. Do you think it's because it is a nicher version of kind of an existing product set?
Yeah, I think it very much is, because when we looked at the safety eyewear market, it just felt so dated. It felt like we were in this space where form had defined like function, and because we needed to have like safety, like more wrapping pairs, like everybody looked like in our understanding, everybody looked like a Lance Armstrong on a bike. Whether you were in healthcare or you were behind a machine or anything, that sort of performance, that Oakley look really governed a lot of safety eyewear. And we really felt like there was no reason why safety eyewear, like looking back now, it's like safety eyewear looked sort of dated. And so we were trying to change safety eyewear, or just like eyewear in general, by just bringing out like a cleaner, more vintage form factor from the front, but introducing the functional aspects through like introducing these side shields and these top shields out here. And I think that was really cool in one sense. Like we found like a form factor that was unique to just us, as well as like break out from this stigma of like all other safety eyewear, and then there was us who like were able to combine the function and the style without compromising either. And I think that's where we really found success in, our target market, which was healthcare, because I think they found that this was the best alternative that they had. And for a startup, that's amazing, because if you're able to like, you're bootstrap, you're not able to like fire on all cylinders and like have the best product. So there are a lot of learnings there. But if you can just beat the competition and make yourself feel like, hey, I'm the best alternative that does safety eyewear the best, then I think we live in a world where like people really respect and appreciate that. And we saw that happen even with other companies within our industry, like Figs, for example. They took scrubs and like really made it like a beautiful like product that people could use as like self-expression, and really like honored those, people within such a sterile environment. And including like brands like Clove, who had done the same thing with shoes. And we sort of realized that the customer wants like a specialized, personalized product that does one thing really well and not a bunch of things. And the competitors were all doing that. So we sort of went the other way.
Yeah. Now, so did you find these kind of comparisons to Fig and whatnot before you went all in on Stoggles, or were these learnings post like realizing the need for Stoggles and you guys that's starting to blow up on you?
Yeah. So essentially, initially, the product of like the idea around Stoggles was just to like help bugs or like, COVID ideally going to your eye. But what we realized was everybody got that, and we didn't have to like, exercise and educate the customer on like why you should be wearing safety eyewear. Everybody got that. So when we found, it was sort of like a revelation to us when we found that the maximum amount of customers were in healthcare. We were like, oh my God, of course they're in healthcare. And that's when the journey sort of like, it was like an enlightenment, it's like, oh my God, of course Figs has been doing this for like, in the scrubs space, or like Clove has been doing this in the shoe space. Like, why didn't we see this sort of happen?
So that would be the aha moment that I ask about.
The aha moment. It happened after we created the product, which is very, very different to most other startups, because they have the aha moment almost before. But yeah, we have our story.
Hey there, merchant. Are you tired of trying to navigate the wild world of e-commerce on your own? Are you looking for a partner to help you achieve your goals? Look no further than the Shopify Plus agency Electric Eye. Our team has a proven track record of helping our clients make millions with strategic design and development. Whether you're migrating from a legacy platform to Shopify, designing a new theme for your store, or just looking to optimize what you already have, Electric Eye is the perfect partner for you. Electric Eye are true Shopify experts. Not only is our Shopify knowledge unparalleled, but we have partnerships with all the best tech in the Shopify ecosystem. And don't worry, we're easy to get a hold of. Our clients rave about our fast communication. So here's the deal. If you're an e-commerce business doing over $1 million a year, you can receive a complimentary Shopify diagnostic from our team of experts. That's free, personalized, strategic recommendations to improve your store and grow your business. To get started, head on over to electriceye.io/connect to schedule an intro call with one of our experts. That's electriceye.io/connect.
Struggling to get your Merchant Center ads approved but keep running into a price mismatching error? Wondering how your competitors are showing reviews, price, delivery, and product availability directly in search results? What if there's a way to get more traffic without fighting for rankings? Well, that's where JSON-LD for SEO comes in. It's an app that gets you more organic traffic to your Shopify store, qualifying you for over a dozen search enhancements, and provides all of the structured data you need for Merchant Center. JSON-LD for SEO automatically adds the structured data needed, and it's updated regularly as the rules change by Google. It's a hands-off SEO app that you don't need to monkey around with to get working. It's the safest, easiest, and most effective way to stand out from your competitors in search results. Contact us to get your free structured data audit for your store. Find JSON-LD for SEO in the Shopify App Store to get started. That's JSONLD for SEO, or go to jsonld.app.
It's the beginning of a new year, and with the new year comes new opportunities. The often misunderstood Q5 period stretches from Christmas Day to Chinese New Year and gives brands the gifts of significantly lower CPMs. But how can you use this Q5 as a springboard to make 2023 your best year yet? The answer is funding. Funding opens doors for your business. A cash injection now will enable you to take full advantage of the Q5 opportunity by investing more into your marketing and securing that spring-summer collection from your manufacturers. Revenue-based finance from Wayflyer is fairer, faster, and more flexible than the traditional funding options out there. You can get approved for funding in hours and cash in your account within days. There are no interest rates or personal guarantees, just one simple fee. Best of all, repayments are made as a percentage of your revenue. So if you're having a slower month than usual, no problem, you'll just give them less. To learn more about how funding from Wayflyer can unlock growth for your business and turn 2023 into a record year, visit wayflyer.com/ecom/honest. That's wayflyer.com/ecom with 2 M's/honest. Wayflyer, funding a better way. So you guys realize that you're onto something here. You've got a very amazing niche odd, and then you just start to lean in heavily into that. Explain the thought processes and weighing the pros and cons of kind of abandoning the original business, not abandoning, obviously it still runs, but why were you going all in on the safety glasses, which just some might not be as cool as ROAV, the original brand. What was the thought process and what was the learnings from making that decision?
That's a really good question. How we understood the sunglasses space was that it was super saturated. It was really like these big players like Luxottica and like a whole bunch of brands that had like spent so much time articulating like their value that we were not going to come close to like, without the resources and being like a startup to be able to take that on. So we were like, even if we get like 0.5% of the industry, this will be like a victory, but with safety eyewear, it was so different because it was at a time when safety eyewear was like, protection was like in the news and in everybody's frontal sort of vortex. And we sort of capitalized on that. But I think what the major point to your question is that Stoggles turned out to be like a product that appealed to a lot more people. And we actually found product market fit within, healthcare and within serving, women in the industry who had been underserved for a very long time. So essentially what ended up happening was that we would get like 30 or 40 like Instagram stories of people tagging us saying like how cool they were feeling with their new pair of Stoggles. And it was like similar to like the stuff we would see on Figs where like everybody would post wear Figs and we were back then wear Stoggles. So it was like wear Figs, wear Stoggles, wear Figs, wear Stoggles. And like that sort of virality, I think really took off because I think you're in a space within healthcare where like the community is really tight. And if you've got something on, it becomes like the next coolest thing that everybody wants to have. It's kind of like a classroom. And I think that really like helped us sort of find our first product, first market and target market and like lean into that and understand that, wow, these people have the financial capacity to like, purchase a good, quality product, which we were offering. Because all the other competitors, you have to understand, were all like $10 and like $12. And we were coming at like $39. So it was really hard for us to like justify to like the regular safety eyewear customer that this would be a game changer. Versus the healthcare customer really bought into that. And I think, to our benefit, sort of, they were able to like organically, speak about it and like talk about it and helped other people like jump on the Stoggles train.
Absolutely. And there's one thing I kind of want to highlight here is, while at the surface, it probably looks like, no, everybody wears sunglasses and only a certain amount of people work in healthcare. And while you're right, but when everybody's also in that same market with you versus you are the coolest thing in a very small market, you're going to get way more market share. And so that's when, if you're a young entrepreneur out there and you want to start a business, what can, there are a million t-shirt brands, right? But what can make you different, right? Maybe you have some sort of specific fabric that's for a specific industry or something. That's what you need to start leaning into in those niches. That's where the money is.
Yeah, no, you said it perfectly right. And we've seen it with like Allbirds too, They were the first ones to come across with like shoes that were environmentally like made out of sugar foam. It's like, wow. Like even if you're like $100 and you're not competing with the Nikes and the Adams, which are like 150 and 180, like you've provided such great value to a customer and you've highlighted something that nobody else is doing. So my dad always used to talk about it, but like go to like a virgin market that you haven't seen something been done before. Even if it's a smaller market, you will grow from there. And I think that's what's been really exciting for Stoggles now, is that we found healthcare, and like to, COVID's benefit, we have been able to like grow really fast. But now, given that COVID's, gone down, now we're on this mission to like really change the way people perceive safety eyewear and really change how people have perceived protection, where it's like, say we want to be the safety eyewear that, people on their work, schedules can wear it throughout lunch. They don't have to take them off when they go somewhere else to like try to relax or, move to like a recreational space in any capacity. So I think that's been really like interesting for us.
Absolutely.
But you're right, you put it wrong.
Now, I think that the audience would yell at me if I didn't ask now. So you're focusing a lot more on Stoggles, and obviously the initial buzz of COVID and the need kind of is worn out. So what are you doing now to acquire new customers? What's marketing look like? What's, and you brought it up earlier, you alluded to it, like post iOS, what's working for you now?
I mean, honestly, it's been quite like a reset for us in terms of like refiguring out who our target market is. And I totally feel the pains of all those media buyers and email marketers out there that are like struggling to like figure out what the new rules are and how do we navigate through this time. And we're in the same boat as well. But what we've realized is like super essential during this time is really trying to like pick your battles and like choose what to optimize on. Because I think the rules today is like, there is no silver bullet. There is no secret sauce. The rules have all been reset. The people who adopt like a test and learn mentality quickly, and I know this is harder for like some startups who aren't well funded or don't have the resources to do it. But again, like pick your poison and like choose where you want to like fight those battles, because there's so much to do and optimize on so many different fronts, whether it's like personalized ads or moving towards video or like having chatbots on your website, to like help with the customer's journey. Like, I think there's so much to do. And I think this is the time to like really test and learn and like optimize wherever you can, till we see things like sort of stabilize and then the rules are set, and then we can go back at it with like a new strategy and like new things. But to touch on what we're doing now, we're like really, we see ourselves as a new category within eyewear. And it's a little ambitious to think that, but I feel like we've been given this opportunity from like a form factor as well as, from a brand standpoint, where we're the only D2C company selling safety eyewear, to like really change what safety eyewear means to people today. And that could mean, you not really like using it in a workshop, but you using it on a hike and like protecting yourself from pollen, or like when you're giving a dog a bath, it's like protecting yourself from all the, water and soap droplets that probably fly into your face. So we're sort of on the mission to like really change the way people have perceived safety eyewear, and then help bridge the gap that they could use it in their day-to-day lives for whatever it could be. As well as like really focusing on, the other workwear subset, pockets, whether it's like manufacturing or like construction or like these other larger groups where like safety eyewear has like been a big, product for their lives and, sort of their work style, that we think we can sort of start to delve into those industries, because we do have something that's valuable. We just have to like communicate it in the best way. So that's been our efforts on like the marketing side for the next half of the year.
Absolutely. Now, is there anything I forgot to ask you about that you think would resonate with our audience?
That's a great question, because I was actually thinking today, I was like, man, so many of us probably are in this bubble where like there's so much unknown. The rules were set earlier and like they've all changed. So like, how do we go about like collaborating and like really talking to each other? And I think what you're doing with, Honest podcast and even Electric Eye is fantastic, because you're bringing sort of people within this community to share and talk about what's worked for them and what hasn't. And I think it's never been a more important time that we all share like our learnings, because I think that's the only way we're going to find like stability in D2C. In the days or months to come.
Absolutely.
Because it's not the greatest place at the moment where people are like investing. And I think, even stepping out from like the regular initiatives, partnerships is a huge thing going forward for us. I think, the online experience, of course, but I think, brand activations and physical activations to like help connect with people, to show that you are a credible brand and that you do care in ways that are beyond just like, simple social ads scrolling across Instagram. I think that's what's going to help people hang on to you and like keep coming back to like what you have to offer. So I would say that would be like my biggest sort of suggestion to all the founders who are like struggling right now, is like try to test and learn more. And like if you have the resources, like do it smartly.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially the community element. I try to put out content here that people like and it resonates with. And I try to ask tough questions to founders like yourself. And I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and letting me ask you some of those questions. Yeah, Before I let you go though, like if, I'm sure some of the listeners out there are working in an industry where they might be interested in the product. So if they are, where do they go? What to check it out?
Oh yeah. So we're exclusively on our own website, Stoggles.com. We also have an Amazon presence because we've noticed like this is fruit for like all our other listeners. We have a lot of knockoffs on Amazon. And so we've had to come on Amazon just to like be the main official brand that has owned this product. Because we've put a lot into our product in terms of like the product development, like the anti-fog. And we want people to see that value and like appreciate the product that we've given. So yeah, those are the two places that we offer our product. And yeah.
Rahul, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Awesome. Thanks, Chase, for having me. Appreciate it.
We can't thank our guests enough for coming on the show and sharing their knowledge and journey with us. We've got a lot to think about and potentially add into our own businesses. You can find all the links in the show notes. You can subscribe to the newsletter at honestecommerce.co to get each episode delivered right into your inbox. If you're enjoying this content, consider leaving a review on iTunes. That really helps us out. Lastly, if you're a store owner looking for an amazing partner to help you get your Shopify store to the next level, reach out to Electric Eye at electriceye.io/connect. Until next time.